Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1 and today we are going to be presenting today, and I am Effendi and this is my team.
My name is Kania, Olivia, Febrianti.
My name is Safira, Hidayani.
My name is Rheka, Restu, Alina.
And we are going to present about modes of interpreting. Now there will be 5 modes we will discuss today, but the first one will be explained by Kania.
Okay, the first one mode of interpreting is simultaneous interpretation. Yeah, the definition of simultaneous interpretation is a mode of interpreting which the speaker makes a speech and the interpreter reformulates the speech into a language his audience understand at the same time. And this mode, of course, usually made in a consecutive or in a conference. This model usually used in a conference model. Next slide. And the other definition of simultaneous interpreting is the interpreter sits in a booth with a clear view and in the meeting room in the speaker and listen to and simultaneously interprets the speech into a target language. So the simultaneous mode usually used in United Nations conference and etc. So the example of mode of simultaneously is
the indigenous forest
Karena
and the local community,
pengakuan hutan adat
because
bukan
the
hanya berarti kita
recognition
sedang
and the
mengakui
acknowledgement
hak
of indigenous
tradisional
forest,
masyarakat
not
hukum
only
adat
that we are
yang dilindungi oleh
acknowledge
Undang Dasar
the basic rights of
1945.
indigenous forests that have
Pengakuan
been protected
hutan
by
adat,
the National Constitution
pengakuan hak
1945,
tradisional
the
masyarakat hukum
recognition
adat
of indigenous forests.
berarti
so the next slide will be explained by Effendi.
So I will explain about consecutive interpreting. So what is a consecutive interpreting? Well, consecutive interpreting is the most popular out of all the modes of interpreting. It is widely used, it is worldwide popular among the world, and it is mainly used in international conferences such as United Nations Conference. In consecutive interpreting, the interpreter starts to interpret after the speaker has finished talking. So, in consecutive interpreting, it is divided into 2 segments. The first segment is when or where the interpreter sits or stands beside the speaker patiently waiting for the speaker to finish while also taking notes and comprehending what the speaker is trying to say. The second segment starts when the speaker has finished talking. When the speaker has finished talking, he will usually sit or be quiet for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then that's when the interpreter starts to speak up about the message or the speech that is delivered by the speaker. While in consecutive interpreting is divided into 2 segments, it is also divided into 2 subcategories. The first category is short CI or short consecutive interpreting. In short consecutive interpreting, the interpreter relies solely on memory and their skills such as comprehension skills and interpreting skills. Whereas in long consecutive interpreting or long CI, the interpreter will mostly rely on taking notes or having a pen and a paper and other equipments that will help him or her or them to interpret the message directly and accurately. For further understanding, let's take a look at the example.
people can find work, families can make a living, and children are well educated. And that broader sense of a U.S. Relationship with a democratic Iraq is one that I think all of us are confident we can now achieve. So thank you so much
شكرا جزيلا.
for your presence here today.
أنا سعيد بأن ألتقي برئيس الوزراء العراقي المالكي معنا اليوم، وتناولنا عددا من القضايا، لا سيما التقدم الذي يستمر بإحرازه في العراق، ونحن والتزامه من أجل مسار ديمقراطي في العراق، ومن المهم أن تجري الانتخابات.
Well, the next slide is about whispered interpreting, and it will be explained by one of my team, is Safira Dyah.
And I will explain about whispered interpreting. In whispered interpreting, the interpreter sits or stands next to the small target language audience while whispering simultaneous interpretation of the matter to hand. This method requires no equipment. And then for the definition says it's simultaneous, and so it's in the sense that the interpreter whispers while the speaker is still talking, but the interpreters may stick very closely behind the speakers and whispering continuously, or may translate in short bursts with the interruptions. For whispered interpreting, also called to quotage from friends, as the whispered interpreters. First, the interpreters whispers directly into the ear and sit audience, and two, has no time to do note taking, has no place for dictionary or other material, has no technical equipment. So for this, I will give you an video example from whispered interpreting.
Considerar otro tipo de medidas para que
understand perfectly the preferences of the consumers in your country, and that is why we are coming together to.
And then next slide, relay interpreting by Rheka, Restu. I will explain about relay interpreting. The definition about relay interpreting is the practice of interpreting from one language to another through a third language. For example, when conference delegate is speaking Arabic and is to be interpreted into English and German, where no Arabic-German interpreter is available, the German output may be mediated via English or relayer. Relay interpreting is most often used for language of limited diffusion and is particularly common in multilingual conference in countries where most interpreters have only two working language or in those with several official language. So this is the example for relay interpreting.
S'il vous plaît, juge.
Por favor, senor juez.
Please, Your Honor.
The next slide will be explained by Kania.
Okay, this is the last mode of interpreting is liaison interpreting. The liaison interpreting is similar to consecutive interpreting, but the main difference with the consecutive interpreting is the length. The length of the time when the speaking is much shorter than in a consecutive interpreting. And then the liaison interpreting is usually used in a meeting but the interpreter is sitting next to the person providing the speech, and because of short passage, he is able to carefully and in detail convey without the necessity of using notes. And the example of liaison interpreting.
Reno. Bagas. Okay, Reno, what is the first thing that I have to prepare to open a coffee shop?
Dia berbicara apa?
Apa hal pertama yang harus dilakukan untuk membuka coffee shop?
Yang pertama adalah niat, karena semuanya berawal dari niat terlebih dahulu. Kemudian kita juga membutuhkan tekad yang kuat dan modal yang cukup. Lalu memiliki pengetahuan yang luas mengenai kopi seperti itu.
So the first is intention, because everything starts from intention.
Okay.
And then we also need the strong determination, and then enough capital, of course. And then we have extensive knowledge about coffee. You also need to decorate the interior. You have to make an interesting interior. It can make your customer feel interesting and comfy. So they will come again.
Okay, and how much capital is needed to open a coffee shop?
Okay, that's all from group 1. We are sorry if we have little mistakes or happy little accidents. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.